On a cold night in March 1922, Andreas Gruber, the stern patriarch of the Hinterkaifeck farm, stepped into the dimly lit barn, drawn by strange noises that had unsettled him for days. As he entered, a shadowed figure waited, holding a heavy mattock. The brutal weapon struck down in a single, swift motion, a sickening crunch echoing as Andreas fell, lifeless, to the floor. Moments later, his wife Cecilia followed, searching for her husband, only to meet the same horrific fate, her life snuffed out with another deadly blow. One by one, each family member, Victoria, clutching her young daughter, and finally the family maid, was lured into the deadly trap, falling victim to a methodical and merciless killer. By morning, the barn and farmhouse lay eerily silent. The Gruber family wiped out in a night of unimaginable violence. The Hinterkaifeck farm, a lonely stretch of land nestled in the quiet Bavarian countryside, belonged to the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber was a hard-working farmer, known for his harsh demeanor. Cecilia, his wife, managed the household, while their daughter Victoria, a widow with a young daughter, often helped her father on the farm. Victoria had endured struggles of her own, bearing a child out of wedlock, a situation that had caused whispers in the community. Despite the harshness of life on the farm, the Grubers had persevered, their farm providing for them in a way few others could in those difficult times. The family recently hired a maid to help with chores around the farmhouse, as eerie rumors of strange noises and shadows around the property had scared off the last one. Andreas Gruber was the first to be drawn into the barn, unaware of the deadly figure lurking within. As he crossed the threshold, the killer moved swiftly, wielding a heavy mattock. The sharp edge struck the back of Andreas's head, and he crumpled to the ground, his body motionless. The silence that followed was shattered by Cecilia, who entered the barn moments later, searching for her husband. In a flash, the killer struck again, and Cecilia met the same tragic end, her body collapsing near her husband's. Victoria entered the barn next, clutching her young daughter, who whimpered at the dark, oppressive atmosphere. Her eyes widened in horror as she saw her parents lying still on the barn floor, blood pooling beneath them. Before she could react, the killer attacked, delivering a brutal blow to Victoria's side. She gasped in pain, collapsing to the ground, still holding her terrified child. The killer showed no mercy, turning the weapon upon the young girl, whose cries were silenced in a heart-stopping moment. Finally, the maid, oblivious to the terror that had unfolded, walked into the barn. The killer awaited her in the shadows, and as she crossed the threshold, the heavy mattock struck, bringing her life to an abrupt, violent end. The barn fell into silence, the entire family now lying still in the cold, blood-streaked darkness. The following day, the eerie silence at Hinterkaifeck caught the attention of neighbors. When local villagers entered the farm, they were greeted by a sight that would haunt them for years. The Gruber family and their maid lay lifeless in the barn, each one bearing the marks of a brutal attack. Bavarian police arrived, launching an investigation that would challenge even their seasoned detectives. The investigation revealed chilling details. The bodies had been covered with straw, as if the killer had taken time to stage the scene. The family's livestock had been tended to, and food was missing from the kitchen, suggesting the murderer had stayed on the property after the killings. Forensics was still in its infancy, and the police struggled to find concrete evidence. They questioned neighbors, friends, and anyone who had come in contact with the Grubers, but the case quickly grew cold as every lead turned up empty. Rumors began to swirl. Some suspected a revenge-driven crime. Others believed the murderer might have been someone close to the family. Whispers of a family curse spread, while some locals speculated about supernatural forces. Despite thorough investigations, no clear motive or suspect emerged, leaving the case in darkness. The mystery of the killer. The identity of the killer who lurked in the shadows of the Hinterkaifeck barn remains unknown to this day. Every clue led to a dead end, and every theory faded as quickly as it emerged. The grisly murders have haunted Hinterkaifeck for over a century, with the question of who committed this atrocity lingering unanswered. Whether driven by revenge, madness, or some other unfathomable motive, the killer vanished into the night, leaving the Gruber family's farm as a haunting reminder of one of Germany's most horrifying unsolved crimes.